the 87-year-old grandma, and she'd be like, ha, 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 can you imagine me on a motorcycle? I'd be like, heck yeah, I can. Love screaming kids as well. There is nothing I don't enjoy more.
My goodness. You should really teach a course on how to overcome objections.
Hello, friends and family, and everybody else out there in the insurance universe. I am Stephen Harrington Dakota with Agency Performance Partners. I have my friends, the mayor, Heath Sharon, and the Chop Therese Potter with us here today. What we're going to talk about with all of our fun fans and friends is objections we see in insurance. Are you guys ready?
You know it. Handling objections. That's the biggest thing. People are like, well, how do I handle this objection? How do I handle that objection?
We should come up with a system or a process pack or something to help these fine people. Oh, wait.
We should do a podcast.
We should do a podcast to go along with the blog that comes out at the same date, right? We give it all away for free. We give it all away, including the kitchen sink and the farm. Whatever the phrase goes, we're giving it to you. Therese, is this your first podcast?
This is my second podcast. My first one was with Kelly.
Welcome. So
no, it was actually with you.
It was with, okay, we've done one together. That's right.
So this is my third one. I've done one with Kelly, one with you, and now all three of us.
So Heath and I did one together a week or two ago. It's the first time all three of us are together on a podcast.
I don't know if that's released yet, but what it does, it's going to break the internet.
It could break the internet.
We'll see. And this one probably will too. I like Chop Teresa Potter. I like Therese Potter. I like that. Chop Potter.
I'm going to have to share some pictures on that one.
Right. Just some. Yeah. I'm going to do the
I've actually got some.
I know. For those of you that don't know, Therese is also a black belt in certain things. So that's why I like to call her Chop. She gets it done. She's going to regulate and make sure I get my job done because she's amazing like that. Thank you, Therese. Let's start with Heath. What's one of the biggest objections you hear from customers in insurance?
Oh, I mean, some of the things we talk about in the sales course, and we get a lot is the objection of, I need to talk to my spouse.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it's like, and again, the APP ways, you cut that off in the beginning by asking who the decision maker is at the beginning. And then you don't have to worry about that. However, if they don't, then there's ways we can get around that. And I'd be interested, to hear, because everybody handles that differently. Therese or Stephen, either one of y'all, how would y'all handle that objection of, I love it, it sounds great, but it's usually a push off. That's usually not the real excuse. It's usually like, I do that. If I get that, I need to call you about your alarm system. Oh man, my wife makes that decision. She's like, what the hell? I don't do that. But I push it off on her.
I would say, would you want me to, can I have their phone number? Can I call them right now? Wouldn't be a good time to talk to them.
I've been caught in that one, Heath. I was buying a car in the same situation. I was like, yeah, I got to talk to my wife. You guys, I don't have a wife. I literally was using it as an excuse. And the guy's like, what's her name? And I was like, he's like, you don't know your wife's name? I was like, she's at work right now. He's like, what's that got to do with her name? And I was like, you'll have to talk to her later. He's like, well, what's her number? I'll give her a call. I was like, never mind. I got to go. Bye.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's a good approach, though, Therese, to be able to say, hey, let's get her on the phone right now or get him on the phone right now. Or when's the best time to get them on the phone?
Yeah. And then it puts it right out on the floor, right?
Yeah, and there's no way getting around that. Yeah, it's like, hey, next time you should name her Stephanie. You have Stephen and Stephanie.
Stephanie and Stephen, yes. I've actually had a client respond to me yesterday. They're like, hey, Stephanie, good to meet you. I was like, good to meet you, too. As long as you're spending money, we'll go with it.
That's right.
What about you, Therese? What's something that you've heard as a big objection in insurance?
When you're trying to cross-sell something,
okay,
you're writing an auto policy and you mention, hey, do you rent or own your home? And, oh, I just called for my auto policy. And I think it's important in that case to remind them about the liability that they have. A lot of people who have apartment complexes are renting. Unless the apartment complex is requiring it, they don't have it. And if the apartment complex requires it, sometimes they'll get it for a week, give the proof of insurance, and then cancel it. My brother-in-law recently, he's lived in an apartment for the same apartment last 20 years. And that hurricane just went through Florida right where he lives, and it tore the roof off. And so his apartment was ruined and he did not have renter's insurance. And he was like, I swear I called Progressive and told them to put renter's insurance and they never did, and it's their fault. And I'm like, well, were you paying for it? So
did you read your policy?
Yeah, so I think, now the other day he sent me a deck page showing that he has it now. He's like, I have proof now. So I think people forget why it's important to have renter's insurance until they need it, just like any insurance. So we need to remind them of the liability of somebody getting hurt on their property, but also that weather happens. And you may have been living there 20 years, but it didn't happen the past 20 years. But today, now you're dealing with not having it. So
Yeah.
just reminders of why it's important to have property insurance, regardless of what your situation is.
Well, I think also they're calling in about just their auto or just their home to be able to talk to them about, because we've all heard the progressive commercial of bundling your home and auto, or this commercial or that commercial about bundling to be able to say, hey, did you know? And there's sometimes that discount can be ridiculously large, like 23% you could save on your home by bundling your home and auto. It's like, whoa. And then you could tell them that's going to make your mortgage go down. That's going to make this go down. And there's a lot of things that go into that just to bring up. And then some carriers, very rarely, but some do a tri-line discount if you add the life insurance. And so you start adding other coverages in there, then you get all kinds of discounts.
One of the games we used to play at the agency I used to work at was people assumed that everybody knew all the products we offered, right? So I was being dumb when I was a younger agent, and I was like, did you know we offer homeowners insurance to people that only had auto? I was shocked at the number of the people that were like, you offer homeowners? I would have had that with you for years had I known that. Then it was like egg on my face because I was like, here I am being like the jokester, thinking that everybody knows all this stuff, but they don't. Or people that only had home, I'd be like, did you know we offer auto? And people would be like, you offer auto? How can I get a quote? And I'd be like, shut the front door. Or they would be like, yeah. And they'd be like, well, then why isn't it with us? We're amazing. Right? So it kind of opens the door too, even when it's a simple, like even something, just a blank statement of you're on the phone with an existing customer. Did you know we offer boat season, motorcycle? I'm like, did you know we do boat and motorcycle in case you ever decide to get one? And it'd be like the 87-year-old grandma. And she'd be like, can you imagine me on a motorcycle? I'd be like, heck yeah, I can. But if not, maybe one of your grandkids gets one and needs a quote. Have them give me a call, right? It's all in how we build the conversation.
I think another one of the huge ones is the telematics devices for the cars. My 22-year-old son called me and he was like, oh my gosh, I signed up for that telematics and it like took off 10% of my insurance. Like the discount that he got for telematics was unbelievable. Now he does drive like a grandpa, but with those telematic devices, most carriers, I think, I don't know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but if they don't drive well, it doesn't actually increase your insurance. It only gives you a discount.
It depends on the carrier, but they're very upfront about it. Like sometimes they'll apply like a 5% discount for trying it out. Right. And if you don't meet certain criteria, which they're very clear, like there's a whole app or website you can visit and see what you're doing, then it takes the 5% surcharge off. But some carriers, like my company that I'm with, offered 2% no matter what. And I was like, 2% is better than 0%. Watch this.
Definitely.
Well, and it depends on what they're using. Some people are using it just for data collection, and some people are actually using it to track your driving to see if you're a shitty driver or a good driver. And some people, it just all depends.
Different carriers offer different.
But doesn't it only track certain things like quick braking, fast acceleration?
They're only reviewing certain things, which they normally tell you about, like the key things they're looking at. It'll still track all kinds of things in the background, but it's not a rating factor.
Right. And I think agents need to get themselves familiar with the product. Which one are you selling? What does it have? And then when the customer says, no, I don't want that, I don't want them tracking me. I mean, you've got a cell phone in your hand anyway. You're being tracked one way or another. And I don't think they do the plug-in devices anymore because it started to mess up the newer vehicles. So it's all in an app. So it's really easy. It's just agents need to familiarize themselves with the carrier's telematics so they can explain it and make the customer feel more comfortable in getting that discount.
Well, I think like 10 years ago when it first came out, it was like everyone's like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't want the company watching me. Now we're like, I'm on Facebook and it already knows what I want for dinner and it's only 9 a.m., right? And I'm seeing the ad. Or like, oh, I looked at luggage 3 weeks ago and now I got something fancier popping up in my Facebook. So we're already being tracked.
Hey, Stephen, I love this quote that you went over with me, but I really just need to think about it. Can you call me back? I need to think about it.
No. What is it that you're unclear about? How can I answer any of those questions you need to think about, Heath?
Well, I don't understand this whole deductible thing. I don't understand why it went down with this, up with that. I just need to really think about it.
That is amazing. I'm going to walk through that with you right now to make sure you are clear on what it is I am offering, sir.
Right now? You can do it right now?
Right this minute.
Okay.
We can share a screen and I can review it with you, or you just open that email I'm sending you right now so that you can visualize it as we talk through it. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic. But I only have like a minute and a half, and I got to get back. My lunch break is over.
I am perfectly fine with that. So what I'm going to do, why don't I call you at 4:30 today when you get off work and we can finish this conversation then?
I'm headed to happy hour. Can we talk over a beer?
I love happy hour. It's going to have to be virtual because I might be down the street, but I'm going to talk through your insurance with you while you are enjoying that beer.
Okay, good. Or I might be picking up my kids. It might be in the car. Is that okay if you hear some screaming kids?
I love screaming kids as well. There is nothing I don't enjoy more than talking about insurance, and it's going to let the kids hear something fun and exciting like the world of insurance.
All righty. Also, Therese, that was a really good quote. You went over with me, but could you just send it to me?
I can send it to you, but I'd like to keep you on the phone to review it with you.
Okay,
You have time to do that?
I just rather look at it. I mean, I'd rather just see it right in front of me and just look at it right now. I mean, I heard
Can I share my screen?
I guess, yeah.
I'll
Overcome
share
my
my screen right
objections,
now.
Therese. I don't want you to overcome my objections. Quit it.
Heath, why don't I send you the application to review? Because it already sounds like it's pretty much a go. You just want to look at a couple last things. I'll send you the application. You'll be able to sign it if you like it. And in the morning when it's not in my inbox, I'll reach out and find out what questions you had. Fair enough?
Yes. Are you always this awesome or just at the beginning and then you're going to be mean to me after this?
Why will we ever be mean? We pride ourselves on service, support, and educating our clients in their insurance needs.
You know, sometimes you get the old bait and switch. You're all nice to me when I'm buying, and then after that, I'll never hear from you again.
I think that's a no. I think that we'll be nice all the time. And we offer an annual review. So we'll reach out to you once a year to make sure nothing has changed, whether you haven't forgot to tell us about things, and we'll tell you about any changes that might be happening with your policy. Does your current agent do that for you?
No.
Wouldn't you rather have somebody that cares about you and your insurance, servicing your insurance?
My goodness. You should really teach a course on how to overcome objections. You're good.
All I'm going to need is your credit card number for the down payment, sir, and we're going to get this started right away. Once you get the policy in the mail, if you aren't satisfied, you just give me a shout and we'll work it out.
Okay, let me get the card number real quick.
Can we set that up on automatic withdrawal?
We can. Automatic credit card, automatic EFT.
Okay, Heath, what's your objection to putting it on an EFT?
What do you mean, what's my objection to putting it on EFT? I want to put it on EFT.
I don't like people having my account number, Therese. I don't want them fiddling around with my checking account.
Well, we'll use your debit card number, not the checking account number.
Oh, okay. That's what I use for Netflix.
Exactly. Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
So
you guys, we're kind of joking around, but honestly, there's customers that they feel that their debit card is not the same as the routing number and account number. So they don't want to give out the super secret routing number and account number, but we can get the debit card number out of them because that's what they use all day, every day. Or if they tell you they don't have a checking account, ask them if they have Netflix. Ask them if they have Prime. Ask them, and they'll be like, well, yeah, I got Netflix. Well, how do you pay for that? With my credit card. Okay, well, how do you pay your credit card bill then? Because you have to link it to a checking account, right? It's not like you just mail in I guess you could mail in a money order every month. That's a little rando, but you can figure it out. We just got to figure out what the real objection is.
I was about to say, I think it comes down to, is it a push off or is it a true objection? Is it just them testing you? I think it goes back to just showing them that you are the expert in the situation. You know what's going on and you're comfortable in that. Well, they're not the licensed expert. You are.
And what we like to talk about, too, is really getting to know the personality type. I mean, there is people that are highly analytical, and they're going to have to spend 3 hours reviewing that quote line by line to fully understand what it is they're getting. And that's okay. But 90% of the population, if you send them the quote, they just scroll to the bottom and they're like, here's the price. They don't look at anything else. So if we can review it with them ahead of time or with them on the phone, while we look at it together, they're getting a lot more value out of that quote or the application or whatever it is we're sending out to them. One of my favorite things is an umbrella. I love a good umbrella policy. I wish everybody had an umbrella. You know why? You never know how much coverage you need till it's time to use your coverage.
You need it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have to hope and pray we had enough, right?
Exactly.
So umbrella in personal lines especially is normally extremely affordable, like $30 a month or less. Most of the time we can ballpark it if we know the carrier. Some carrier is a flat rate. Some has rates per vehicle, driver. They have surcharges. We just have to know the carrier. But if we're having a conversation with a client that already has the right limit, they already have home and auto or whatever, they already have their package with us. And then you're like, hey, did you know that I think you qualify for an extra $1 million in coverage for only $27 a month? And the client's like, I have enough coverage. Have you heard that one?
Not if you have
enough coverage.
Right.
And you're like, okay, cool. So do you understand what liability is? Yeah, it's what I have on my car. Cool. So let me tell you what liability does, right? And we have to kind of break it down for the client so they can still make an educated decision. We're still talking insurance-ese, even with some basic words like liability, comp, deductible. They want to sound smart. They don't want to sound dumb. So a lot of times the objection is because they're not understanding what we're trying to explain to them or sell to them. So if I say, hey, if you're driving down the street and you smash into a brand new Mercedes and it hits another car, you now totaled 2 cars, and it hits a telephone pole. Did you know a telephone pole costs $18,000 to replace? I don't know how much they really cost, but I remember getting a claim one time where it was a guardrail and it was like $72,000 to replace a guardrail on a highway.
Yeah, they're expensive.
That's your property damage, right? So you total a brand new Mercedes, you total another car and a guardrail, you're over your policy limit.
100%.
$250.
Woo. Yeah.
So that $1 million steps in to help cover some of that, and it's your defense costs. Like, don't you want a good attorney to help you through that ugly accident you just caused? And they'd be like, oh, well, that would be nice. So don't you think it's worth $27 a month for that protection and peace of mind? Well, yeah. Okay, we just overcame the objection. The objection wasn't the $27. The objection was they didn't understand what it was.
So many times as we start to wrap up here in a minute, I'm sure, I wanted to ask you guys, because I know there's listeners out there, like when they get the objection, they just immediately start like hyperventilating or freaking out or, what would be your advice to tell them as they get those objections?
Practice. Role play.
Okay.
I mean, as quirky as it sounds, talk through it with somebody else in the office. Practice in the mirror.
Yeah, I would say if you're an agency owner listening, that's a good idea that Steven just gave you. Maybe have at least once every other week or so, once a month, just have some role playing. Have some fun with it. Order some pizza, do some role playing, maybe even do it over happy hour. I don't care. But have some fun. Notice I brought up happy hour twice. I sound like the drunk on the podcast. I'm not at all, but it came up twice now. Therese, any other advice that you would give somebody like that that's getting objections and they're freaking out?
I just think they need to recognize the objections first, and they need to realize that there are things they can say with the objections, because I don't think we have enough training and we just hear the objection and we just accept the objection and move on. I think we need to realize that there are going to be objections. We need to think about what those objections are by reading our blog, because you're going to have these objections and you're not going to know which ones are going to come. So the more you read and understand what those objections are going to be, and then have an idea of what you'd say in your head, or just listen, make sure you're listening to the objections, trying to understand them and being, giving empathy. And saying, oh, yeah, I've been there. I understand that. But this is what we can do to solve that. This is how we can fix it. This is how I can basically help you understand, like an umbrella. So if they don't understand what an umbrella is, I always talk about it being an upside down umbrella underneath your home and your auto. So once they get that it's an extra support for those two policies. It makes all the sense in the world. There's no reason not to have it when it's so cheap. So I just think the more we educate our clients, the more we get them to understand the discounts that go with some of the objections, like the objection to EFT and the objection to telematics. But we also have to remind them, if they're saying no to discounts and saving money. And that's something that they're actually wanting to save money. But when you throw out there the discounts that they can save money, they're saying no to them. So you have to make them see, too, that they're the ones that are actually not saving themselves money by not getting these discounts.
Hey, drop the mic, Therese. That was good.
Two, you need to not be afraid to fail forward. I mean, the first couple times are going to be awkward. It's the freaking first times, right? So the first time you overcome it, you'll be like, yes, I did it. Or it'll fail miserably. You'll be like, wah, wah, I need to go take a quick break because that was a horrible, horrible time. But if we learn from it and move on and get better the next time, there's no harm, right? I mean, if I'm offering something additional line of business or to put them on EFT and they say no, and I can't get to the bottom of that objection, I can replay that and be like, what's something else I could have tried and try something different the next time.
Yeah, and I would say if your agency records phone calls, listen to some of those. Listen to yourself or listen to your employees and play it back for them and be like, do you see where you might have done this? Or here's what you could have done, and maybe role play the actual scenario. The other thing I would say is just take a big breath, take a deep breath and realize it's not a big deal. Instead of immediately freaking out, take a deep breath and understand, okay, what would you do in that situation? For me personally, when I say, let me talk to my wife about it, even though she does wear the pants half the time in the relationship, a lot of times just me pushing it off. And I have to realize, okay, what would help me to get over that objection? And so I just try to think of putting myself in that shoe or that situation. So anyhow, plus Stephen has wrote a killer blog here with a bunch of scenarios in there that you can read.
It's real life conversation.
It truly is. And like, I love this blog. I can't wait to read it myself.
Yes, we got all kinds of objections and scenarios and real life words you can use. You could just copy and paste it right into your mouth.
When does this one come out?
The end of this will be out in November. End of November.
It'll be before you know it, and they could be able to check this blog out.
There you go. Also, we have our sales and retention packs you can purchase online, which is our online school seat that has lots of role play videos in it with scenarios just like this. So I would once again like to thank Miss Therese and Mr. Heath for joining me on my magical time here talking about objections and insurance. Any parting words from either of you?
I just love Teresa Chop Chop.
Just keep being ridiculously amazing.
Chop Potter.
Therese Chop Chop Potter. I love it.
All right, guys.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Take care.